Welcome to the operating system class. Now today we are going to discuss about the deadlock prevention and its characteristics, which are the extension of this content. That is, we do have the four characteristics. The first one we mentioned was mutual exclusion. Second one was hold and wait. Third one was no preemption. And fourth one was circular waiting. So if all the four are simultaneously at a time happen, then we can say deadlock will occur. Right? So we were telling that a deadlock, if it is going to happen, it is going to have the four basic characteristics. One, we are going to call it as mutual exclusion. Another, we are going to call it as hold and wait. The third one was no preemption. And the fourth one was circular wait. If all these four aspects, they are going to happen simultaneously, then a deadlock is going to happen. So now, how do we represent a deadlock and what type of data structure we are going to opt for a deadlock was the first thing was we are going to assume it is going to have a graph structure. So when we are going to opt for a graph data structure, the two basic constraints what we are going to assume is one, we are going to call them as vertices, and another we are going to call them as edges. So the deadlock will be represented in graphs, and that too it is going to have a vertex, and that too it is going to have a edge. Now there is a little violation for this acyclic data structures where you can see if the graph doesn't have cycles, then we can assume that the system is going to have no deadlock. So if basically when we are going to tell a definition of a tree, we say it is acyclic, and when we are going to say it is a graph, it is called as cyclic. But still at this point, the graphs, if they don't have cycles, then we can say that the system is not hang up, the system is not struck, the mobile phone need not be restarted. In this way, there is no ambiguity, everything is going on smoothly. That means no deadlock happened in a mobile phone, no deadlock happened in a cell phone or laptop or desktop, whatever it is. So if there is a struck up operation, what we are going to do, Control Alt Del, go to task manager, select the process, and then we are going to cancel. Otherwise, restart the computer, otherwise restart the laptop. So that is the thing what we are going to do. So instead of restarting a task, instead of visiting a task manager, our intention was that we should execute a program so that the programs will, there won't be any hangout situations to that program. So if a cycle is going to be there, now how it can be handled if there is a one instance. If there are some several instances, then definitely there is a possibility of deadlock. So our intention was the system when it is going to there, it is never going to enter into a deadlock state. So that can be handled with two primitive operations. One we are going to call it as deadlock preservation, and second one we are going to call it as deadlock avoidance. So these are the two ambiguities, sorry, these are the two most important primitives which are going to see that if it is a single system, yeah, it can be maintained. But if it is a multiple system and it is going to support multiprocessing and it is going to support time multitasking, then the deadlock will occur, and that deadlock will occur between multiple processes. Now there should be some solution if multiple processes are asking for resource at a time, how we can manage, how we can see that all the process get accustomed to that way of using the resource. So again, what is a resource? Resource can be a CPU cycle, resource can be a printer, resource can be a scanner, or resource can be some memory usage, whatever it is. So the CPU cycles, the IO components nor the memory. All these aspects, they are going to be part of a resources. Yeah. So we talked that a mutual exclusion happens, and we will see that at most only one file happen to be in the shared location, and that too if the writer is going to write, readers has to wait. If readers are going to read the operation, then writers are going to wait. So we see that no two operations can do at a time. So that inclusion, we are going to say how a mutual exclusion is going to be taken up. After that, we are going to have this operation called as hold and wait. So if a process is there and that process needs some other resource which is held by another process, then definitely that process, it has to deallocate it or release the process what it is going to have. So I will just recollect the same example. I do have a process P1, and process P1 is going to have process P1 is going to be represented in circle, and resource R1 is there, and R1 is going to be represented in form of a rectangle. And now process P1 is asking for a resource R2, and R2 is going to be in the hands of R1. If such is the case, now what it is going to do is, here it is going to have an operation called as hold, and it is going to see that it is going to have some wait operation, that is until P, it is seeing that let P2 release it. So let P2 release the R2, then only P1 is going to get. So resource to process, we are going to call it as allocation. Edge from process to resource, we are going to call it as request edge. Okay. So if already a resource is going to be given to a process, we are going to call that one as assigned edge or a allocation edge. So we can call it as some assigned edge, or we can call it as assigned edge. And if there is a process to a resource is going to be requested, then we are going to call it as resource edge. So no preemption, we talked, we had a yesterday's discussion. So I am going to have P0, P1, P2 as a process, and all came at 0 millisecond is the arrival time. So the arrival time is 0 millisecond. At this case, now P1 is going to come at 0, P1 is going to come at 0, P2 is going to come at 0, and all are going to be started at that time. Then we are going to see that it is called as no preemption. If I am going to have some preemption, P0, P1, P2 is there, it comes at 0th millisecond arrival time. So we have this arrival time here. So this is arrival time. So we can say that P0 arrival time is 0, P1 arrival time is 0, P2 arrival time is 0. But here, when we are going to call it as preemption, so 0th arrival, 5th arrival time and 10th arrival time. So arrival time are going to be different. So when we say that if it is going to be deadlock, it cannot be random. So all either P1, P2, all of them should go with the 0th millisecond, then only it can happen. So where we are going to call here as no preemption. After that, we are going to call the fourth criteria, that is called as circular waiting. In circular waiting, it has to see that a chaining is going to be broken. So P1 asking for R1, R1 is in hands of P2, P2 asking for R2, and R2 is in hands of P3, and P3 is asking for R0, and R0 is in the hands of P0. So if this is a scenario, is going to be taken up. Now processes are going to be represented in circular forms, resources are going to be represented in rectangular form, and resource contains some instances. Now you can see there is a chain here. Now this chain, that is multiple, I can say multiple hold and wait are going to be arrived here. So this multiple hold and wait has to be eliminated, then we can say there is no circular weighting. So circular weighting should not be imposed. So that is how a deadlock is going to be eliminated. So here we can see that we have an example with the lock ordering here. So there is a transaction is going to have some account. One, I am going to have a from variable. Two, I am going to have two amount is a double variable here. So you can see there is at most one process to happen. So that is mutual exclusion, and another one it is represented with lock 1. Another one we are going to call it as lock 2. So this phase we are going to initiate to have a lock on the critical section. So now this is going to act as a some model of semaphore. So with the two states, one it is going to have a signal state, another it is going to call it as a wait state here. So now when we are going to say it is an acquiring phase, now it is moving on to a word called as wait state. So lock 1 is going to put it in a wait state. This is acquiring phase, acquire phase, using phase, and we are going to call it as release phase. So this operation we are going to call it as use phase, and this operation we are going to call it as release phase, and the first operation we are going to call it as acquire phase. So withdrawal and deposit, now they are going to be in the sensitive area, and that sensitive area we are going to call it as critical section, and this critical section is having shared variables. What is the shared variable? Which is common to all process, So now you can see that amount is a shared variable. Amount is going to be a shared variable, and that it can be used either for transaction 1 and it can be used for either transaction 2. It can be either used for transaction 1 and it can be used for either transaction 2. So I am doing this from to amount and 2 to amount. So I'm going to make a minus operation, that is called as a withdrawal operation. Another I am going to make a deposit operation, which I am going to call it as a credit operation. So both of them I am going to do it, I am going to use it, and that it is in the critical section. That too there is a shared variable, and that shared variable I am going to call here as an amount. Okay, my operations are done. So what I can do is I can release whatever locks I am going to take. So here I am going to use a wait process. Now this wait is now converted to a signal process. So this is wait is represented as 0, and signal it is going to be represented with a flag or a boolean value, that is a signal here. So that is how when other parties want to use the shared data structure, but still it is going to be used inside the transaction, they are going to be waiting. So that is how a locking is going to prevent instead of moving the things into deadlock. So after this, we do have one more content. We do have one more content that we are going to call the new topic called as deadlock avoidance. So the deadlock avoidance is that I can repeat you again the same words. One, I am going to call it as mutual exclusion. Two, we are going to call it as no preemption. Three, we are going to call it as circular wait. Fourth one, we are going to call it as hold and wait. If all the four characters are going to come at a time, these are the symptoms of deadlocks, then deadlock will happen. All the four come at the same interval of time. Assume at 11:20 all are going to happen. Yes, deadlock has happened. Now our task is, the operating system task is, at any case all these four should not come. If I break the chain of at least one, then deadlock will be avoided. Four symptoms are there for deadlock to come. What are the four symptoms? Those four symptoms we call it as characteristics. So one, mutual exclusion. 2 hold and wait, 3 no preemption, 4 circular waiting. If all the 4 symptoms are there, then deadlock is going to arrive. Now what is the solution? You break the chain. How can I break the chain? The operating should see that in any of the 4 characters, if it is breaking at least one, okay, deadlock may not arise. So how it is going to maintain? So operating system is going to have a task manager, and that task manager, it is going to work on a word called as deadlock avoidance. So before it is going to enter, or before it is going to take initiations towards avoidance, the first thing, it is going to represent the process as P0 to Pn. Resources, it is going to represent it as R1 to Rn, and resources, it is going to have n number of instances. Processes, it is going to represent it in circles. Resources, it is going to represent it in rectangle. Next one, it is going to have one edges, that is, it is going to have some assignment edge, and second thing, it is going to have the requesting edge. So one, it is going to have assignment edge, another it is going to have assigned edge. So both of them, it is going to use a graph data structure. So assignment edge is from resource to process. Request edge is from process to request, and it is going to use a graph data structure, which it is going to use one vertices, and another it is going to use edges. One it is going to use vertex, and another it is going to use edges. So operating system, using the algorithm of deadlock avoidance, it is going to dynamically examine the resource allocation states. How do I get a resource allocation state? I am going to draw a graph. How do I draw a graph? I link both the vertices and edges. How are the edges made? Edges are made from P to R, or edges are made from R to P. And we should see that there should be no cycle, there can be no cycle, so that the circular waiting condition will be eliminated. So it is going to examine how many processes are there, how many resources are there, so whether they are going to be allocated properly as per the requirement, as per the need, it is going to examine. Then we can say yes, there is no chance of deadlock. So circular waiting, it is going to see that circular waiting will not happen. So graphs, they are going to be represented with a diagram, and that diagram we are going to call it as resource allocation state. It is going to call it as resource allocation state. Again, what are resources? Resources can be CPU cycles, resources can be memory, resources can be IO devices. So resources can be the CPU cycles you have learnt in microprocessor. Move instruction take 4 cycles, add instruction take 3 cycles. Number of cycles a CPU is going to have for the mnemonic opcode. So how many cycles it needs, which is generated by a crystal oscillator by a clock pulse generator. So that it is going to assume that it is called as measured in gigahertz as per the CPU cycles. Second one, the allocation of a memory. And third thing, the hardware devices, that is IO devices. It can be a printer, it can be a scanner. So all these elements, the magnetic discs, magnetic tapes, so these are having some instances, and those instances has to be allocated to a process. So in order to manage these things, in order to manage the resource allocation graph, it is going to use a state, and that state it is called as a safe state. So at any point of time, the system should not hang up. At any point of time, the system should not enter into a deadlock. If it enters into a deadlock, system performance will be degraded, system will hang up, I have to reboot the system, I have to restart the mobile, restart my laptop. So that is where a lot of tremendous data, unsaved information is going to be lost. So to bring that into a structured approach, now deadlocks is going to be prevented, is going to be avoided with a word called here as a safe state. So before I dig deep into the theoretical aspects of a safe state, before I'm going to dig deep to you in a theoretical aspect of a safe state, just I will take you a small example and then I will take up with the definition and other parts. Assume there is a bank and you have applied loan. That loan you are applied from educational loan. Okay. So there is a bank and there you have applied for educational loan. So assume your first year, your second year, third year, and final year fees. So fees was some 50,000. So 50,000, 50,000. So this is your actual loan. Okay. So 20, I mean, you need to have some 2 lakh rupees. You need to have some 2 lakhs rupees. So this was your INR. So first year you need a fees for 50,000. Second year you need requirement of 50,000. Third year you need requirement of 50,000. And final year you required to pay the fees of 50,000. So overall your requirement is going to be done. Then 2 lakhs if you are given, then your BTech will be completed. If such is the case, so this is called as maximum requirement. So this 2 lakh rupees, if the bank is going to dispense you at the same date, then that is the maximum requirement. Now what bank is going to do is, it is going to give it in installments. It is going to give you in first installment, it is going to give you some 50,000. Second installment, it is going to give you 50,000. Third installment, it is going to give you 4, and fourth installment, it is going to give you 50,000. So in this way, it is going to meet you with all the requirement. But and if you can see, whatever loan you applied, that loan will be given to you. Okay. Now I am going to interpret the same things with the definition here. So I am going to have a resource. I am going to have a resource, and resource is going to have some instances, and the maximum instances are some 2 lakh instances for a resource. My request was maximum was 2 lakhs, allocation was 50,000. Now what is need here? Still how much need I need? I need 2 lakhs minus 50,000. Then still I have to get 1,50,000 is going to be my need. Okay, first year, and then what happens? Next, I am going to reiterate the same algorithm. So now my request was for 50,000. So 1,50,000 minus 50,000. So I am going to get again 1 lakh still as a due. Now, if such is a scenario is going to put to you, giving you 50,000 at a time, giving you 50,000 in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, then you are going to be put in a state called as unsafe state, and unsafe state is not a deadlock. Unsafe state is not deadlock. So you have to highlight this word. Unsafe state is not deadlock. And what is safe state here? If I am going to get all my 2 lakhs at a time, then I can say that I am going to get 2 lakhs at a time, and whenever I raise my requirement, whenever there is a need for me, then at that time only if I am going to get, yes, you are going to be in a safe state. But in first year I get 50,000, second year I get 50,000, third year 50,000, fourth year 50,000. So bank it is not going to dispense you the cash at a time. It is going to pay you in installment, but still you are not put in a deadlock state. You are going to be put in a intermediate level, and that intermediate level we are going to call here as an unsafe state. Now, when you are going to enter into a deadlock state means when you are going to enter into a deadlock state means if bank does not release installment of 50,000, then you are going to be in a deadlock. So you should understand this. So if the bank is going to give you every year for 50,000, first year, second year, third year and final year, your requirement is 2 lakhs loan, obviously bank is going to give you, but to give you in parts, in installments, then you are going to be in a state called as an unsafe state. Suppose if the bank has given you all the requirement, 2 lakh rupees whenever you join in the college at a time, then you are going to be in a safe state. What is unsafe state? Unsafe state is not a deadlock because first year requirement is met because you got 50,000 rupees. Whenever you enter into second year, another 50,000 is coming to you. Again, you are not in a deadlock state, but you are in an unsafe state. Third year, you are going to get the money. Of course, you are not in a deadlock. You are managing the third year. Next, again, you get 50,000. Again, you are managing your final year. You are not in a deadlock. But all of a sudden, if the bank is not going to give you the loan, that means your BTech education is disturbed, then you mean to say you are in a deadlock state. Got it? As you are paying the fees year by year, then obviously there is no chance of deadlock. You is going to be in an unsafe state. If you stop paying the fees, obviously then you are going to be in a moved from unsafe state to a deadlock state. The same example, now here it is going to be taken up. The same example, it is going to be taken up here. So when a process is going to request for an available system and the system must decide if immediate allocation leaves to the system, it is going to be in a safe state. Okay. So bank is going to have 2 lakh rupees and you are asking for 50,000, it is going to be released immediately. If it is going to be released, you are asking for 50,000 and bank is having 20,000, okay, then you are going to be in safe state. You have asked for, this is case 1. Second case, if you are going to ask for 2 lakh rupees and bank is only going to give you some 50,000, then you are going to put in a state called as an unsafe state. You are going to put in a state called as unsafe state, and unsafe state is not a deadlock state here. Okay. So why bank is going to give you partial amount? Why bank is not going to give you full amount? The reason was, if all the resources are given to you, obviously bank will be in trouble. All the money is at a time it is going to give to you, bank will be in trouble. So it has to manage, not you. Only you person is going to have an account in a bank. There are lakhs of people and the money has to be dispensed not to you, it has to be dispensed to all the people. So if it is going to give you all the money at a time, it is segregating there. So the operations are going to be hang up, operations are going to lead into a deadlock state. So in order to minimize the deadlock, he wants people, but he wants to engage them one after the other. So he is going to put you in an unsafe state and he is going to roll over you. But still you feel that you are not going to be in a part called as a deadlock. If you are beyond the safe state, if you are beyond the safe state still, then you are going to be in a deadlock. So which process has to be given first? Which process has to be given next? Now this is the scenario. So I am going to have process P1, I am going to have process P2 and process P3, and I am going to have a resource of 10 instances. I do have resource for 10 instances. P1 is asking for 10, P2 is asking for 5, P3 is asking for 4. Now this is the scenario. Now I need to have the system to be in a safe state, and that safe state, it is going to obey a safe sequence. It is going to obey a safe sequence. So how it is going to obey a safe sequence means, assume P1 is going to ask for 10 and bank, if it is going to give for 10, then P2 will be in trouble, P3 will be in trouble. So what it is going to do is, it is going to have 10 instances, and in that 10 instances, it is going to give here 5, it is going to give here 3, to allocate, it is going to allocate 2 here. So obviously, all the 3 are going to be in safe. All the 3 are going to be in safe. And now the sequence of executions, which is first, which is next, which is third, you need to maintain in which order the process are going to be executed, that has to be known. So for that, it is going to maintain a sequence, and that sequence we are going to call it as a safe sequence. So the process in which they have asked for a resource, and in which order the resources are going to be allocated to the process is going to be known. So that state we are going to call here as a safe sequence. So I do have 2 terms coined, 2 new terms today. One, we are going to call it as deadlock avoidance. So deadlock avoidance was that it should see that deadlocks will not occur any of the 4 conditions: circular waiting, hold and wait, mutual exclusion, no preemption. If it is going to break any of the one, then deadlock will come. So that will not hang up, desktop will not hang up, mobile will not hang up, no need to restart the again, the task manager will not be in a trouble, all the unsaved data will be safe. So the normal flow of sequence happens. So who has to take care? It has to be take care with an operating system. How operating system is going to take care? It is going to take care using a resource allocation graph. How a resource allocation graph is done? It is done with 2 edges. One we are going to call it as assignment edge, another we are going to call it as resources edge, requesting edge. So how is this assignment edge, how is this resource edge is going to taken? It is going to taken up using vertices and graphs, and that we are going to call it as a resource allocation graph. How is this resource allocation graph met to meet a deadlock? If there is no cycles in the resource allocation state, then we can say that there is no deadlock. How to see that there is no cycles in a graph? To see that there is no cycles in a graph, we have to work on a state called as a safe state. So safe state is a state, see that all process should get resources, but the resources will not be to the maximum. All will have their own turn so that they can use it, they can give it back. So in this way, they are going to use the shared resources commonly in a multitasking or a multi-programming environment, because there are multiple programs, there are multiple tasks going on. So all of them should share the same common resources, and all are going to compete at the same time, but there should not be any disturbance for them. So that which is first resource has to use the resource, which resource has to use the next. In this way, I need to make an ordering, and that ordering we are going to call here as a safe sequence. So maintaining a safe sequence, it is going to be an art which is taken up by the operating system in form of safe state. So once a resource is going to be allocated, so I'm going to have my resource, and this resource is going to have 10 instances. First, I'm going to make a request. And this request, it is going to be allocated. Once allocated is going to happen, obviously it is going to be released. So I can say I am going to have 10, and I am asking for 3. Then 3 is going to be given here. My state was 7. After I am going to use the 3, again I am going to giving you back. So here I am going to make a minus operation. Here I am going to make a minus operation. Then here I am going to make a plus operation. So at any point of time, my resources are to be pulled up or to be taken. So when PI is going to finished, now PI needs resources and it is going to allocate a resource, and finally it is going to be terminated. So in this way, the resources are going to be maintained. So if a system is in state, there is no deadlock. If the system is in unstate, then I can say it is a possibility of deadlock, and the avoidance is that ensure that the system will never enter into a unsafe state. Ensure that a system will never enter an unsafe state. So we do have some levels. One I am going to have here as a safe state. Another we are going to have it as an unsafe state. And beyond that, if it reaches, it is going to be in a deadlock state. So I'm going to have in this safe, yes, I am going to have a safe sequence. Via that safe sequence, I can operate the things from unsafe state. I can order the things from one state to another. Obviously, there is a chance that there is no deadlock. So, if there is no cycles, then no deadlock. If there is a cycle, then it is going to be in this unsafe state, and it may lead to a deadlock. Our intention at any moment of time, at the unsafe state has to be rolled back to the safe state. At any moment of time, the unsafe state has to be rolled back to the safe state. So how can I roll back here? So if I am going to put you in 50,000, you are going to be in unsafe state. If I am going to put you in 2 lakhs, then I am going to say you are in safe state. That means at any moment of time, you should move from unsafe state to the safe state so that the deadlocks will not ever again. Yes. Where are the scenarios where deadlock occur and where the deadlocks has to be taken up means, if I am going to use a single instance, then I can solve it using a resource allocation graph. If a resource is going to have, if resource is having single instance, then resource allocation graph is enough. If resources having multiple instances, if resources are going to have multiple instances, then the choice was you are working in multi-programming, nor you are going to working in multitasking. So you can say some time sharing operating system. So if such is the case, then you have to use this Banker's algorithm. So if there is a single resource, single instance, yes, go and use resource allocation graph. If I am going to use multiple instance of a resource, then I can say go and use the Banker's log. So process P1 is there, it is going to have resource R1, and this resource is going to have single instance. At this case, you can say use resource allocation graph. If I am going to say the same process P1 is R1, this resource R1 is going to have 1, 2, 3 and 4 instances, then I can say use multiple instances. Here I can say use Banker's algorithm. That is the difference. So deadlock avoidance, if it is a single platform, we have to use the resource allocation graph. If it is going to be a platform which is supporting multi-programming and multitasking, and thereby it is going to have multiple instances for a resource, obviously we can say it is Banker's algorithm. So that is how we are going to move forward. So for today's class, a quick recap what we have mentioned. So we talked about the 4 characteristics. The first characteristic we were mentioning, 1 we call it as hold and wait, 2 we call it as mutual exclusion, 3 we call it as circular wait, and 4th one we call it as no preemption. If all the 4 are going to come simultaneously, we will say that deadlock is going to happen. When the deadlock is there, it is going to be represented with a graph with set of edges and vertices. The edges and vertices we having from assignment edge or a requesting edge. Process are represented with P and resources are going to be represented with R. So resource is nothing but cycles, the memory and IO devices, we call them as resource. Whatever programs we are going to write, those programs we are going to call it as brought into primary memory. Therefore, they are going to be called it as threads. They are going to be called it as process. So at any point of time, our system should not hang. The whatever process is going to ask for a CPU, it has to lend it. So while letting it, it needs that which process should be executed first, which process should be executed next. It should maintain a graph, and that graph you are going to call it as a safe sequence. So if the system is going to be pretended in a safe state, then there won't be any chance of a deadlock. So if the system is going to be in a safe state, there is no deadlock. So if there is no deadlock, so no deadlock in safe state, and chances of deadlock in unsafe state. So if I'm going to live in an unsafe state, it is not a deadlock. Chances of maybe a there. But if I'm going to put it in a safe state, then I'm going to say there is a no deadlock. My resource request is 2 lakh instances and all of them allotted to me at a time. Obviously, there is no deadlock. But partially I'm going to support, then I'm going to be in an unsafe state, but still there is the chances of deadlock. But moving from unsafe state to state, then there is no deadlock. So that is how we are going to interpret these 3 things. So finally, to make a deadlock avoidance, we do have one resource allocation graph if there is a single instance for a resource, and if there are more than one instance to a resource. So in the second diagram, you can see there are 4 instances which are going to be depicted here. So at that time, resource allocation graph may not fit as an optimal. So there we are going to use the Banker's algorithm. So tomorrow we will have a detailed discussion of claiming edges, request edge, allocation edge, etc. And after that, we'll be talking about what is Banker's algorithm. Yeah, this is all for today. So thank you for joining the class. Yeah, you can leave. I'm stopping my recording.